right, welcome everybody to Cutting Into Cybersecurity. My name is Joel Bork, and I'm your host on the Cutting Into Cybersecurity podcast and live stream. With me is my fantastic co-host, who's also, well, actually, you've been on this Twitch stream a number of times, but it's our first time together, is Brandon Krieger, account executive over at Uzato. Welcome, Brandon. How are you doing this evening?
It's awesome. This is going to be amazing. I mean, this is the first time we're going to be on the cyber insecurity network and be able to help people learn about the CISSP and study and get prepared for the CISSP exam. Now, the great thing about this, if you have the CISSP, this can be a great review for your day-to-day activities. If you don't, this is going to help you prepare to actually get ready and write the exam, which we'll be talking about next week. Joel actually did write the exam.
I did. Yeah, it was kind of one of those things. I was looking at it, and the earliest possible time was Monday. I think I was sitting there like on a Wednesday, and the next available time to take the CISSP was months away. And I was like, you know what? It's just time. We've been studying as a group on LinkedIn Live for 3 months. We have a killer group of people who are coming over here to check it out and continue studying with us here. But I wanted to make sure we were teaching the right stuff, and turns out we were. So, Brandon, you're up next, buddy. You ready?
Well, hold on. Before we get into this little housekeeping, I want to first say, you guys have any questions as we're going through it. We have Fraser and the moderator, these awesome guys that are actually monitoring the event. You can actually use the exclamation Discord or even exclamation, and I'll ask Fraser to put those in just to kind of get our hashtags, everything that along that line, our social media. Let us know as we go live through this. If you have any questions, you guys want to ask us questions, as we're going through. This is a very interactive session, so make sure that you ask lots and lots of questions as we're going through. We want to make sure we answer all your questions, try to get some information, and if we don't know, we're going to find out for you. So this is going to be awesome. Just to give you a little bit of the format, we're going to be here every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8:30. So put in your calendar, make sure you're coming out, invite your colleagues, invite your friends, just make sure everyone's coming out. And I think we're going to really work together well to be able to just prepare for the CISSP, or at least review the information so you can apply it for your real world.
Absolutely. Now, somebody said in here, hey, can someone explain to me the schedule of this channel? And if you scroll down a bit, there's actually a schedule. So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, we're going to be adding Tuesday, Thursday on there from 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for these sessions. So I know we'll be building out the schedule for that. Just want to address a couple people here in the chat. Black Knight T2. We have Net Frazier. Thank you for moderating this evening. Claw Overdrive. Vivek Varadarahan. I know that's a mouthful, but welcome. He's joining us from over on LinkedIn Live. And Jimmy T951. Guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're excited to wrap this up. We got a bunch of people taking the CISSP. Is anybody else studying for the CISSP by any chance? If you are, put it in the chat. We want to know what certification in cybersecurity you're studying for now, because we've had a lot of people studying with us. And guys, the crazy part is a lot of the CISSP content, it applies to your Security Plus. It applies to other aspects of cybersecurity. So looks like we have Net Frazier studying for CCNA. So that's a tough one. That's a lot more command line interface. But Jimmy T, Security Plus, a lot of these things migrate from different aspects of cybersecurity.
Awesome. So Joel, you want to jump into it?
Let's jump in. So guys, we typically do a few sample questions. So we actually will share some questions. We want you guys to all practice, right? This is the place where you can get the wrong answer. It's 100% okay. This is practice. This is about you improving your cybersecurity knowledge. And we're going to jump in. Some of these are about policies. Some of these are about different cybersecurity models. It's really a mix. And we're going to jump right in and test your cybersecurity knowledge here today. So let's go ahead and jump right over real fast. And we're going to start with question. Let's go ahead with, let me zoom in real fast.
Yeah, just bring it up on the screen.
Yep, here we go. Sharing with you guys now. All right, so question number 1 of the evening. And this is an interesting one because we went through these, actually, it's been a couple months now, right, Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see how our Twitch streamers are in this regard. So take a guess, guys. A through D, which of the following was the first mathematical model of a multi-level security policy used to define the concepts of a security state and mode of access and to outline the rules of access? Now, Vivek is actually sitting for this certification again here soon. And he's actually won our competition in a number of these in the past. So looks like we have a couple answers already. Flight Quest says D, Vivek says D, Net Fraser and Claw Overdrive says C, and UL7R05 says B. So let's go ahead and take a peek. The correct answer is B, Bell Lapadula. So it looks like UL7R05 is right. And it says in the 1970s, the US military used time-sharing mainframe systems, and they were concerned about the security of these systems and the leakage of classified info. The Bell-LaPadula model was developed to address these concerns. It was the first mathematical model of a multi-level security policy used to define the concept of a security state machine and modes of access. So good stuff. Now, this is my first time streaming on Twitch, so I'm excited to be here. Typically what we do, and we're going to do it on this question, question 72 is I let Brandon walk through his thought process and process of deduction. So Brandon, you ready to do that on this one?
So yeah, let's kind of give you an idea. So there's a skill, as you guys all know, for taking tests of reducing to at least 2 answers and then trying to find what's the best answer is out of those 2 to be able to answer the question. Because a lot of times these are similar, right? They're similar to, you know, one another, and you're kind of asking yourself, well, which one does it fit? Which one's the best one? So we kind of walk you through the psychology of trying to get that, and at least so that you can walk through the elimination, trying to get to the best 2, and then making your choice from there.
Yeah, and I saw California 909 said, "What the hell? LOL? Is that even cybersecurity talk?" Well, let's walk through it, because Bell Lapadula is about writes and reads, right? And which directions can you do it, and why is that an effective security policy? And that's what this next question is about. So it's kind of cool, because the first one was technical about Bell Lapadula. This is talking about which of the following answers best describes the Bell Lapadula model of storage and access control of classified information, Brandon?
When we look at number 72?
72.
So which of the following is the answer is best? Now, these are the things you have to read through it, because a lot of times we miss not, which of these are not, which are the best, right? So you look at which is the best describing the Bell Lapadula model, right? Is it no read up or no write down, no write up, no write down, no read over or no write up, or no read from the higher classification levels? So I'd already start to eliminate no read over or no read up. I've never heard read over, right, as a read administration permission policy. So I'd remove that. C. D, no reading from higher classified levels. I don't think that's really a Bell Lapadula. So now you're looking at A or B, right? No write up or no read down, or no read up and no write down. So I'm going to go with A, no read up and no write down.
And you're right. And it was really cool, because Brandon, as you were doing that, Sean in the chat said eliminate C, eliminate D. And he was right? So guys, I just sat for this exam on Monday, and I had to sign the non-disclosure, so I can't talk about the questions themselves, but I am going to do a session a week from now. So next Tuesday, there were a number of topics that I've been training and studying with this group for over 3 months now. And there were some subjects on there that was not in the textbook, right? That was on the exam. So I'm actually we're going to do a special edition of this where we bring that content to you. I can't bring the questions, but I can bring the content and what was involved in that. So we'll be doing that. But great job on your process of elimination, guys. Really, really well done. Let's go ahead and see what question 73 is all about. So individual accountability does not include which of the following? A, unique identifiers, B, policies and procedures, C, access rules, or D, audit trails. Brandon?
So now we're looking at, again, this is one of those questions, does not include, right? So that we want to catch that as you're reading these questions, because again, a lot of times when you're doing these questions, you're stressed, you're going through it, you've got 2 hours to kind of bang this out, and you miss the not, right? So which individual accountability does not include which of the following, right? So unique identifiers, I would say that it does include. Or policies and procedures. I'm gonna highlight that one. Access rules and audit trails. So those ones are which accountability does not include, right? So I'm gonna look at policies and procedures, right? So I'm gonna eliminate C and D and go for B.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right. Remember, which individual accountability does not include which of the following? And policies and procedures. So it's always fun, guys, because I love the chat we have going on here. But watching your process of elimination is so much different than mine, right? And sometimes it's because you come at it from a policy level and more of the that side of things, and I come from it from a technical level. But I'm like, individual accountability. Well, accountability is tracking a user's behavior. So unique identifiers absolutely helps with that. Access rules definitely helps with that. And audit trails, I mean, that's how we identify and track down individual accountability. So it had to be policies and procedures. But the
Right,
way
because that doesn't track accountability, right?
exactly, but it's just fun to see that we come at it from two different angles. So great job. Let's go back to the chat, see who got it. So Vivek got it. Well done. Chris Bick, great job. I think we got a couple others who A and C. That's okay, guys. Once again, this is the time to get that wrong and learn. So, guys,
so here's a question for the group. Then let's kind of throw this out there. What do you feel you're getting stuck on as we're going through this? Put this in the chat. Kind of let us know. Again, this is the goal, is just to help you kind of learn how to test the information kind of as we go through. So
yeah.
let's move on to the next one, Joel.
Yeah, and so guys, for those of you who are here on LinkedIn Live, we were doing like gift cards to the first ones who got it right. We may bring that back. We wanted to test out this platform first, but typically we do between 5 and 10 questions per session, and then we jump over to actually a portion in the CISSP content, and we actually train on it with you. And it's not just like lots of text and us just regurgitating info. There is a little of that, right? Because we got to cover some of the content. But we also bring in pictures and graphics and information so you guys can learn it, because to be honest, that's how we learn, right? It's not just the text-based reading through a book and regurgitating it, right? It's actually learning it and understanding it. So let's see. Yeah, we also had Net Frazier say something that he highlighted. Do you want to touch on that in the chat?
Yeah, he's just reminding the community, just don't forget there's going to be a Q&A as we go through.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit question 74. We got 2 more questions for today. Then we're going to hop on over to some physical security stuff. But let's jump in. So which of the following components are considered part of the trusted computing base? A, trusted hardware and firmware. B, trusted hardware and software. C, trusted hardware, software, and firmware. Or D, trusted computer operators and system managers.
Okay, so first I'm going to look at system managers. D. Yeah. I'm going to eliminate that right from the start, right? Right. So then you got A, B, and C, right? So trusted hardware and firmware, trusted hardware and software. I think they're all involved. So that leads me now to C, trusted hardware, software, and firmware, because I think all aspects of the hardware, the firmware, and the software is involved. So I'm going to go with C.
All right. And it looks like we got FlightQuest 6489. We got Chris Bick with C as well. And you guys are absolutely right. Remember, and also, looks like somebody's taking the EJPT soon, UL7R05. Good luck, man. That's I've heard good things about that exam. So all the best on that one. Remember, the trusted computing base is a collection of all the hardware, all the software, and all the firmware components within a system that provides some type of security and enforce the system security policy. So remember, it's the firmware, it is the hardware, and then it reaches out to the software in user land, right? So remember, it encompasses all of that.
For sure.
And there were a couple questions on that on the exam, definitely. So let's go ahead and scroll down a bit. Last question of the night, guys, and then we're going to jump right into the content. So the high availability of multiple, all-inclusive, easy-to-use hacking tools that do not require much technical knowledge has brought the growth of a number in which type of attackers? A, black hats, B, white hats, C, script kiddies, or D, freakers? Brandon? Okay,
so to know the cyber insecurity community, these guys are going to get it, because I know a lot of these guys are studying pen testing and in the environment of penetration testing, hacking, and things along that line. And you can start to see like the C's are starting to come out. It's not black hat. We know it's not white hat, because that's kind of identifying what you know about the environment as you're going in, right? And that's can be challenging and difficult, right? Freakers, no, not necessarily. What's the most easiest thing people can do right now? C, script kiddies.
Yep, absolutely. So remember, guys, black hats, malicious intent, know nothing of the internal workings of the system. White hat, they have intense or a lot of internal knowledge of the system, has to do a lot with code review and internal pen testing. And then freakers is telephone, right? Or private branch exchange hackers. Yeah, the use of Kali Linux has not increased the use of the, freakers, black hats, or white hats. Script kiddies are a lot of people who, it says kiddies. A lot of them aren't young kids anymore, right? They're actual individuals who are trying to break into a new industry and not doing it the right way.
Exactly. And then a lot of it, like you said, you can find it online, right? It's stuff that you can run. You can run scripts. You can, run a Python script, and it's easy to run, right? That's why it's script kiddies, right?
Yep. And so Net Fraser said freakers are old school. Absolutely. Right. We did have a comment. Sorry, go ahead.
Think about that. PBX. I mean, when's the last time you've heard about someone trying to hack a PBX?
I don't think I've ever heard of somebody trying to hack a PBX. Maybe that's dating me a little bit, but
that's awesome. Okay, so let us know, guys. What you guys think of the questions? Comment in the actual chat, and then right now we're gonna get into the actual material and the content.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, and Brandon, I wanted to touch on a few. So the sniper of 3434 said, thanks. I was going to ask if you guys could explain why it was C. He said, thank you. So I'm guessing we answered the question. So we tried to answer the question as well, give you the reasons. If there was stuff that maybe, if there were a couple different terms, we'll jump into those and explain them. We did have somebody, Tom 007 said, when is the next study session? He knew about this one by accident. So we will be doing these Tuesday, Thursday on Twitch, 7:30 Eastern time. And actually the cool part about this is we're actually kind of studying and training and bringing up the next level of CISOs, more or less, right? Or cybersecurity managers. We're going for CISSP. We're doing this study group. We'll be doing it for the next few months. So please jump in and join us. And then after that, we're going to be transitioning the content to CISSO. And we'll be studying for that exam. So that is kind of I think it's EC Council, right, Brandon?
It is. So let's ask this, first question, Joel, and I'm going to throw this out there. What's the purpose of getting the CISSP? Why do you get that?
So for me, it was interesting, guys, because my name's Joel Bork. I am a senior threat hunter at IronNet Cybersecurity. I've been technical. I started out in pen testing, and I did FedRAMP assessments. So I did mobile, network, and web application pen testing. Loved it. And then I applied for a red team position here at IronNet, and they go, "What do you think about being on the blue team?" I said, "Let's go." So then I've been on the blue team ever since, and I always, ever since I was a pen tester, and even when I was doing threat hunting, everyone was like, CISSP, you don't need it. And I was like, you know what? I'm never getting the CISSP. I am boycotting that certification.
Right. Okay.
I lied to myself for how long, Brandon?
Right.
Years.
Okay.
And then what happened was I realized that you have to be able to put that managerial hat on, and that these aspects that we've been learning over the past 3.5, 4 months, it applies to not just the corporate workspace, but also to personal life and just cybersecurity and personal security and corporate security in general. And it's been quite the journey, and I'm proud to say we did it, and we're doing it.
Exactly. Now, got a question from the community. What point in your career does a person usually go for the CISSP? Now, let's talk first about the requirements. What's the requirements?
So I just had to submit endorsement. You need 5 years of work experience in cybersecurity or in the cybersecurity realm, or 4 years of experience and a bachelor's degree.
Or a Security Plus.
Is that, I didn't see that on there, or Security Plus?
Yeah. So if you have Security Plus or some sort of certification that is security related, they'll knock off 1 year for your qualification. So cool. You have to have 5 years of experience in one of the 8 domains. All right. So just kind of to clarify that. Now, if you don't, you actually become a CISSP associate, right? Then they give you 6 years to get your 5 years experience.
There you go.
So you still can go for your CISSP if you have no experience at all, but then it gives you the opportunity to go get the experience in real world.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So Sean D said he's in upper management and you need it. Yeah, it was funny because, I've been very technical for a while, and I was looking to go management, and somebody, one of the recruiters was like, "Do you have your CISSP?" And I go, "No, I'm not looking at getting it." He goes, "Oh, we require that for even our mid-level managers." Right. And it was like, oh man. If you are looking to go management and you see your track going from individual contributor to management at any point in time, guys, CISSP is going to be a requirement in the cybersecurity field, in my opinion, at this point.
For sure. And now I got a question here from, or a comment here from the Sniper 3434. Or you were from the IronNet. Cool. I applied to the summer internship.
Cool. So, yeah, no, we have a killer internship program. And so Sniper, I just want to let you know, we typically hire like 4 or 5 interns at a time for our cyber operations center, for IT. Now that we're fully remote, we've narrowed that down to just 1 intern per department. So it's going to be tough competition, but good luck and all the best on that. It is good stuff. So
yeah, so we got a couple more questions coming in, and then we'll jump into the information or the studying. So second question here. So you mean that if you have only red team experience, you can still get a blue team job? So I think that's directed to you, Joel, and all your pen testing experience.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting. You got to think, what are the skills you learn? You learn basic scripting. When you're doing pen testing, you can script, you can learn quickly, right? When you're in cybersecurity, you have to learn things so quick, and you have to be able to crunch learning curves. And when it comes to IT, things become irrelevant after a couple of years. Look, this freaker question about PPX it's irrelevant in today's day and age, right? So you have to be able to crunch those learning timeframes. So I went into this interview, and it was for a red team position, and I interviewed, and I think I exhibited those skills, right? I could crunch the learning curve. I had the basic skills needed to be able to learn a new skill. And I'd already been finding bad in networks and web applications just from a different angle. So now they said, okay, we need to be able to teach you some new software, and you need to now find bad that's already in the network, right? Not from an external perspective. So yes, it is possible, and it happened to me. So I now recommend people start with the blue team if they want to get to the red team. But that's a conversation for another day. Grab me on LinkedIn real quick. Let me throw my.
Well, I think Fraser has that. So if you guys let me know, Fraser, if you guys have the exclamation for Discord, if people can kind of get all the social sites on there.
Yeah, and I accidentally misspelled it. It's linkedin.com/in/Joel Bork, so I apologize, but that's it. But guys, we do have a time limit. We're only allowed to stream till 8:30 tonight, so we do have to jump into the content. Once again, thank you for joining us on Cutting Into Cybersecurity. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. Brandon, are you ready?
Yeah, well, let's go on that. So I have a couple of other questions we're going to jump into after, but yeah. So what we'll do is we'll give you guys another 10 minutes at the end as we're going through this if we have questions, but then we'll answer a couple questions at the end.
Yeah, so today we're actually going into an interesting section, and it was actually the section that, as a technical individual contributor, everybody made fun of. I had a number of CISSPs, and they would laugh. They go, "Oh, you have to know what type of fire extinguisher to use on certain types of fires. Like, why would you ever need to take that exam, right?" Well, I'm going to throw this out there. I didn't get any of those questions on my exam, but it is part of the CISSP content, and we're actually covering it today. So we've been going through the physical security model and physical security module, and today is about utilities and HVAC considerations in corporate security. So Brandon, over to you. Kick us off. I'm going to spin up the first few images for us, and let's jump right into it.
So yeah, perfect. Utilities and HVAC considerations. Power supplies by electrical companies is not always consistent and clean. Most electronic equipment demands clean power to function properly. Equipment damage from power fluctuations is a common occurrence. Many organizations opt to manage their own power through various means. An uninterrupted power supply, UPS, is a type of self-charging battery that can be used to supply consistent clean power to sensitive equipment when things fail.
Yep, spot on. So guys, what is the UPS? It is, and let me pull up a picture here real quick, if it'll work with me. Here we go. So it is a battery, right? So it's basically inline. So it passes the data through the battery, right, from the wall outlet, stores it in the battery, pulls the power out of the battery, and then will feed that into whatever device you're using. So for those of you who are just seeing this for the first time, I'm a huge Ubiquiti guy. You can see probably my one of my access points over here, but I've got a server rack, and I love the Ubiquiti platform. This is Ubiquiti's redundant power system that they have for their rack mounted. So basically you plug this into your rack, and all the devices are plugged into it. So if your power goes down, right? If you were living in Texas, I know Vivek was actually in Austin. So Vivek, you're still on. He was in Austin when this latest power outage happened. It's not going to get you through 3 days without power, but it will keep your network up and running for about 48 hours, right? Or 7 to 8 hours, depending on the load you put on those batteries. So that's $400 for a really, really good quality UPS system. Now, I want to talk to this because that alone will not actually keep your network up and running, Brandon. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because, well, I have Verizon Fios, so the demarc location at my house where the fiber comes in actually needs power. So I could have perfect redundant power supply over here at my server rack. So my firewall's up, my IPS IDS is up, my router and access points have power through power over Ethernet. But if I don't have power at the demarc location, the internet never gets over here to my router.
At least you have power. At least you have power, but you just don't have any internet.
So what's the answer to that though? Well, let's talk. So maybe you're not looking for a rack mounted power supply, right? But maybe you're looking for something more personal. That's a more personal power supply. Well, check these out. They're really simple and easy. They're just power strips with a battery attached to them. So I've got one of these under my desk. I've got one of these at the demarc location, but it's just a power strip. You plug that in, and if your power goes down, well, your computers aren't going to crash on you because of immediate power loss. You'll be able to keep your internet up and running. So if you're in the middle of a meeting or a presentation, I mean, I'm telling you, those live presentation gods, don't mess with them, man.
Now, can those fail, the actual bars? Because I've seen them short out.
They can. The other thing is sometimes when you lose power, there is like a 2 to 3 second gap before it flips over, right? So you got to be careful, read the reviews on which ones you're getting. But when it comes to power, look, you got to take that into consideration for your business and for the risk it brings to your business. What happens if you lose power during the middle of a workday? How much money do you expect to lose of productivity from your individuals and your networks being down, right? You got to take that in. So, let's head back over to the chat real quick. Looks like Claw Overdrive is hopping out for a bit. We'll see you soon. Please feel free to join us on Thursday. Yeah, so that 100bot says you need a generator with ATS for longer power outages. That's literally the next section is if you're maintaining operations for a considerable amount of time, in spite of a brownout or blackout, on-site electric generators are required, right? These generators turn on automatically, typically run on gas. And yeah, it's very similar to the generators you could buy for 15 grand to put on the side of your house, right?
Exactly, right? And then, like you said, you might have like the gas ones, right? Or the solar power now. Yeah.
Does your building unit have a generator?
We have a generator in the basement, yeah.
Okay, so when power goes out, do you have a little or?
A smaller one, yeah, because it's only like we are above a storefront.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been the other thing I've been looking at is I have Ego for like my lawnmower and my yard trimmer, and it's like battery powered stuff. They have one where if your batteries are sitting on and they're fully charged, they basically have a battery UPS where you take those batteries, drop them on here, you could plug in your fridge almost, I think. So yeah. Kind of fun stuff. Well, cool. Well, let's jump right into electrical power problems. You ready, Brandon?
Yep.
All right, cool. Next picture coming right up, guys. And let's talk about power issues. So you may have a power failure or a blackout. Everybody knows that one. You may have power surges, right? You know that your power strip is a surge protector, but there are a bunch of other power issues that could arise and affect your business or your household. So Brandon, walk me through the power excess ones real quick.
So yeah, I mean, you've got spike, which is a momentary high voltage. You got a surge, which is a prolonged high voltage. And then, of course, a degradation, and as you're going to go through those. But when those ones you got to be careful with, because if it's a spike, right, and it's a lot of voltage that goes into the end of these devices, some like the Belkin and all that can actually just short out.
Yeah. Now, here's the reality is I actually got one of these questions on my exam, and it was about the inrush current. So when it comes to degradation, right, and thankfully I had just reviewed this section. Right? I mean, literally, we had this sitting here. I said, Brandon, leave it up. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to read it all before my exam. And I did, because if you think of inrush current, you think of something coming in like a surge, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the case for this. So we all know degradation is a sag or a dip, or a brownout is prolonged low voltage, right? So it's not your regular voltage, but an inrush current is an initial surge of current required to start a load. So it is a rush in, but it's actually a degradation of service.
Okay.
So it's a quick rush in, and it's starting the load, and it can hit from a degradation or a brownout. Then you have power loss, right? So that's a fault or a blackout. And then you have interference, which is transient, or a short duration of line noise disturbance. Or then we have noise, which is stead interfering power disturbance or fluctuation.
Right. And a lot of times you see that with its interference on the lines, like internet lines and stuff. When they have noise on the lines, they have to flush it. So one of the things that, let's see, we just kind of lost Joel for a second, but yeah, one of the things you'll see when you're doing that, when you look at sometimes when you have collisions on the actual line, you'll see that challenge. Now, it's kind of funny. I don't know if Joel just had a power outage. We'll have to see if that's kind of one of the issues that's happened here. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll answer a few questions until Joel jumps back in. Just looking at the chat right now. But yeah, so when you're looking at power outages, something you have to look at, and we'll put on on our managerial hat, you have to look at, loss of business continuity, right? Something that's important as you guys are looking at any type of your solutions, your technology has to maintain power, right? And the longer that you're out, the more the business can be affected, right? So when you're looking at anything along that line, there's a potential, of loss of revenue. There's a potential of loss of business continuity. So what you're doing is you're making sure when you're having these the UPSs, your power supplies, and you're managing this, you're making sure business continuity is still going. All right. And then Joel, was that a power surge? Was that a blackout? What are we dealing with it?
Inrush current. I just said that. Did you miss that part? No, I'm just playing. No, I don't know what that was, but I did see you make the joke that I had a power outage. So that was weird. I'm not sure what happened. Between Restream and Twitch, but it dropped me for a sec.
Well, it wasn't happy you talking about power.
Well, the funny part was, I was like, Brandon, are we having issues? And then I saw an ad pop up on Twitch. I'm like, oh, it must be commercial break. It's got to warn me before we drop into commercial break. Oh, good stuff. Well, cool. So guys, just for those of you who are still listening, I can't say give me thumbs up, but what do you guys think of the content so far? Is this what you're looking for out of a stream? Is there anything we can do better moving forward here on the Twitch stream? Really curious to hear your feedback on this, since this is our first time on Twitch. Looks like there's 81 or so people still with us, and I've been here most of the time. So really curious what your thoughts are on this, and if you'll be joining us in the future. So we'd love to have you.
We have one question about power outage. For the power problems on an enterprise level, does that fall more on the property management perspective or business level besides the UPS and power supplies?
I love that question. So it's a mix of both, right? If you're reliant on the property management, what is the SLA around that, or the service level agreement, right? What is the maximum downtime your organization can handle? And does their their service level agreement match that? If it doesn't, you're going to want to look into buying UPS devices, maybe an additional generator, right? But you need to look at that and treat them like a third-party vendor and a service level agreement, because that's what they are in the end.
So I'm going to have a little different view than Joel here. It definitely is the enterprise level responsibility, because when you're looking at disaster recovery, your instant response, and your business continuity, it all has to be planned into it. Right, it has to be planned into, because that's where you got hot sites, cold sites, right? Because of when the power goes out in one of your sites, you have to be able to transfer over to a site to keep going and maintain business continuity. So if one of the issues is power, and you haven't planned that out, well, guess who's responsible for that? Right? It's actually the organization, because you didn't plan for the disaster recovery, right? You didn't plan for the incident of the outage to have a plan to engage in. Yes, if we have power outages, this is who we call, this is what we do. We get the generator going, whatever that may be. You have to have that in a disaster recovery plan.
You're spot on. You are spot on 100%. Now, we did have somebody say that this is their first stream and they're loving it. They did find us on YouTube. So I just posted our YouTube link in there. Guys, there's a lot of content. You can go back and fast forward through kind of the intro section and the countdowns, but we do questions every single week, twice a week, And we've covered a lot. I mean, the page on that exam website that we were on was like page 30 something. So we've ripped through a lot of the content. If you're just looking for questions, go check out that YouTube, subscribe to that YouTube channel, and check out our past videos, because this is episode 35 for us, guys.
Awesome. Now, so we have one more question. Hey guys, random question. How would I know if cybersecurity is for me? So any career questions we'll answer at the end. So we'll keep that one for at the end, but yeah, we'll answer that for you and help you out there. So let's keep going on with the power. We're going to talk about noise.
Yeah, let's talk about noise.
So noise can cause more than just problems with how our equipment functions. It can also interfere with the quality of communications, transmissions, and playback. Noise generated by electrical current can affect any means of data transmission that relies on electromagnetic transport mechanisms, such as telephone, cellular, televisions, audio, radio, and network mechanisms.
Yeah, spot on. Now, when they're talking about noise, they're not talking about like me screaming in your ear, right? And you having your volume too loud. That's not the kind of noise they're talking about. They're talking about more power issues. So when you have clean power, that means your power supply doesn't contain any interference or voltage fluctuation. Steady power supply, exactly how it's expected. Interference, or EMI, is the noise. And this can be created by a difference in the three wires, right? So I've thrown this. I like it where you guys can see it. So just so you know, we'll try to provide as many pictures, even if it's text heavy, just so you guys can see it and visualize it and read it for yourself, so you can retain the information. But a magnetic field is created when you have three wires, neutral, hot, and ground, and that can create noise. So there's two types of noise: common mode noise, and this is generated by a difference in power between hot and ground. And then there's traverse mode noise, generated by the difference in power between hot and neutral. Now, lightning and electrical motors can also induce EMI.
For sure.
Now, Brandon, you want to touch on RFI?
Sure. RFI can be caused by anything that creates radio waves. Fluorescent lights is one of the main cause of RFI within buildings today. So think about that. Like all the fluorescent lightings you have kind of on the ceiling can affect your bandwidth, right? Your communication.
Yeah, it can. And I don't know why you're still using fluorescents. I can't stand those things. I think you should go LED for sure. But yeah, it can cause interference, right? So knowing the difference between those, EMI and RFI, are big, right? RFI, anything with radio waves. EMI is magnetic fields created by electrical current.
Right, for sure. Now, yeah, just a quick question. Where is the slide you guys are covering? Is it free? We're actually using one of the study guides that we're pulling from the actual content, so you can actually get one of the ebooks. This one we're actually using, just give me a second here, is the CISSP Certified Information Security Professional Official Study Guide version 8. Right, that's what we're working off of. So if you want to go grab it off of Amazon, go for it. That's our resource that we're using to prepare for the exam and help you guys study.
Yep, and there's a couple of resources I want to drill on. What I did right before the exam was I crunched with the CISSP study guide, written by a guy named Eric Conrad. He's a SANS instructor. Awesome book, highly recommend it. I really use that to crunch. He also writes one called The 11th Hour, which I've heard good things about. Then there's actually a free mobile app, and it is called CISSP Prep, and it's all questions and exams. And I just went through there and I crunched out in 72 hours 100% of the questions before my exam. So that whole weekend, I was just taking my phone with me everywhere I went. Every time I had downtime, I was answering questions. I went and hit the gym. I was answering questions in between sets. So that's the resource, CISSP Prep. It's a green app with a shield on it. So check that out if you are studying for CISSP. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, as much as you can practice, as much as you can test. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little memory hack here. Do your best to do this, and it's called the Feynman technique. Review the information 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and then 6 months, or it's a quarter, then 6 months after. The more you can review it, the more it goes into your long-term memory. So then when you sit, you're like, I got this. I remember it. And if you don't know it, just keep reviewing, keep studying. And then eventually what happens is, yeah, you've got this. And you need that. And I'm going to put this out there for everyone. You need it to be able to apply it. So when you're getting into your work environment, someone says, tell me about electrical magnetic interference, you go, yes, I've got that, versus hold on a second. Let me go look up in this book. Google, what is this?
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. And I know you're reading a book right now on memorizing things and data retention, right?
Yeah. So one of the things, it's a memory recall program that I'm actually taking right now on how to study better. Cause all of us, right? All of us are learning new information constantly and have to know specifications, policies and procedures, governance, all that. And then by tomorrow it changes. Right. And so we have to keep learning. So I'm trying to learn new ways of kind of doing brain hacks to recall, retain more information.
Yep, absolutely. And it looks like SLB Dark Sorcerer, it's 5 a.m. there. So go get some sleep. The recording will be here on the Cyber Insecurity Twitch afterwards in the VOD or on YouTube within 24 hours. So go get some rest. We have all of our episodes, guys. Check them out if you're studying for this. But we're going to keep trucking on. So next is HVAC. Brandon, jump into that. Introduce us real quick. I'll pull up the next picture for everybody.
Yeah, so HVAC we're looking at should be between 40 to 60% to data centers. High humidity would cause corrosion, and low humidity will cause static electricity. So that's what you're bringing up here. And then HVACs, I mean, what we know is it's controlling the actual temperature in the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then humidity.
Yeah, and I think the cool part is like this is preventing damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once again, this comes back to business continuity. If you're not maintaining your humidity in your data center, you're going to run into serious issues. And Matt, I don't know if this has ever happened, but large amounts of corrosion. Actually, did you see the fire that happened over at OVH, Brandon?
No, I didn't.
Whole data center burned down. I'm going to pull up that article here in a bit when we're actually going to get to fire suppression here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to pull up that article because it just happened. And they're like, what happens when a data center goes down? Like, right. Are they able, because remember, separation of this, if a data center goes down, they're responsible for the hardware. So they're responsible for the HVAC, to making sure the humidity is right, making sure the data center is protected physically, making sure their fire suppression is on point. And if something happens to their physical center, they have backup data centers that have redundancy, have, basically load balancers to redirect traffic to the new site. That's their responsibility. And then we are responsible for the data and the applications that live on them.
For sure. So let me just kind of briefly go over this. In addition to power consideration, maintain the environment involved, controlling over the HVAC mechanisms. Room's intent primary is to house computers should generally be kept between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 and 23 degrees Celsius. However, there are some extreme environments that run their equipment as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit and others that run above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity in the computer room should be maintained between 40 and 60%. Too much humidity can cause corrosion. Too little humidity cause static electricity. Even on anti-static carpeting, if the environment has low humidity, it is still possible to generate 20,000 volts of static discharge. As you can see in the figure that we're talking about here, this is really important. Minimal levels of static discharge can destroy electromagnetic equipment. Now, Joel, I have a question for you.
Yeah, hit me.
Do you remember being young when you get on a carpet, you have socks on, and you do that running so you can shock the person beside you?
Yeah, I used to do it with a balloon back in the day when I had hair. It doesn't work anymore. But you rub it on your head, it generates static, and you zap them.
Well, here's the funny part. Like I remember taking the A+ exam, and one of the things they talked about is you had to ground yourself before you touched a motherboard, right? Because you could actually short it out.
Oh, I wonder if I have I don't think I have it right here. It must be in those cabinets behind me. But when you're building a computer, you're supposed to have a anti-static bracelet, and you attach it to the metal, right? So it can ground the charge, so you don't zap your motherboard and fry out your brand new electronics, right? So that's important, right? Electricity and static electricity can really damage computer equipment. So guys, the humidity on those, right? Remember the damaging temperatures. Remember that static electricity can really impact those things, and you need to take heed that if you don't have the right humidity, it'll generate static electricity and it increases the risk. So what if it's a really humid place where you have your data center? Well, remember the cost benefit, and you have to, what is your annual rate of occurrence if you're going to leave your humidity at a higher or lower level than is in that 40 to 60% range?
So yeah, we should have a quick comment here, Joel. Data center needs some stuff to have into consideration. For example, structured cabling is very important, and what things can and can't have in there. and a location of primary and backup data centers as well. Now, the cloud and other housing options can solve this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And couple other comments. Looks like ITSec cyclist. For all the constantly evolving nature of this industry makes cybersecurity careers demanding, but it's never boring. If you want to stay sharp and engaged in your work, cybersecurity offers plenty to keep you motivated. Also, work your way up the chain if you can. Every job in the chain is very important nowadays. And it was cool because I know your CISSP friend, it was Dr. Eric Cole, right?
Yep.
He said, forget about titles, right? This is your journey. Remember, you may see these CISOs and be like, oh, that role is so amazing. But guys, it's about where you are right now. That is the beauty of life. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination and the title. So remember that, and you're on your own journey. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's not what somebody else is doing. It's what you plan to do. And that's why we're here to help you, right? And bring you up and answer the questions that you have, because we're talking about physical security and humidity right now. But how does it impact cybersecurity? And knowing those things may help you someday in your career. You just don't know.
So, Joe, I have a quick question for you. Poison Cronin, I was asking, I've been told to win for the CISSP, but it's, I guess he's talking about to go for the CISSP, but it seems it needs a lot before I can even do it. Is there a roadmap to a CISSP?
Yeah. So
and I'm wondering if he's talking about education roadmap. And now, would you say there's one for that?
So I actually wrote an article on LinkedIn about the roadmap I would recommend. And so I just put my link. It's linkedin.com/in/Joel Bork. Send me a connection request on there if you have a LinkedIn. If not, I don't know how, this is my first time on Twitch, but reach out to us in the Q&A, ask a question afterwards, get us your email. I'll get you that article. But I basically step-by-step which certifications I recommend and in what order to get them in. So I've got a whole article. I'd love your feedback on it if anybody wants to read it. Add me on LinkedIn. I'd love the new connections and to see your guys' face and put a face to the name on here. So
yeah, so I'll kind of use my example. If you're going to start and break into the security field, Security Plus is kind of a really good one to start out with if you're looking at certifications. It gives you kind of a rounded view of cybersecurity, right? What it is, kind of from start to finish, kind of the whole gambit of it, and gives you an introduction of what you like and what you don't like too. When you start with Security Plus, then you can start to move up. Now, depending on the path you want to take, if you want to go to managerial, you can start looking at like the ICS square kind of certifications, and there's progressive. There's, I think, the SS or CCSP and different ones along that line, and you can progress. Or you could go, like, there's nothing saying that you can't go directly for the CISSP. It's just going to take some time, right? You got to really study for it, and you have to know the material. So if you don't know a certain domain, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time on that domain to get it down.
Awesome. And guys, I think a few of you have sent me requests on there. I just accepted all those requests, including Chris Frazier. Christopher Frazier has been moderating this. Thank you so much, Chris, for hopping on and doing that for us. We appreciate you with the bottom of our hearts. And I second everything Brandon just said. I did see the recommendation, take your A+. I decided not to get my A+. I did build a computer and I passed an A+ like course in college and got that mini certification there. It was a valuable experience learning those pieces of technology and how computers fit together. And I've been building computers since I was a kid. If you're looking to get into cybersecurity, yes, you can start with the A+, but I'm with Brandon. I recommend going Security Plus for that. And a lot of this content applies to that. But there are other things specific to that that will help you get started in your journey. Also, if you look at the article, it's in my favorites. It's titled, "So You Want to Get into Cybersecurity," and it tells you why it's important. Go ahead, Brandon.
A+, well, I wouldn't do it. I'm going to throw that out for you guys right now. If you're going to desktop support, you're going to site services, things along that line, A+, totally agree with that. If you're going to jump right into cybersecurity, go for your Security Plus, right? Get right into it, jump right in, because A+ is a lot of, and I did my A+ way back when, and then I did site services and desktop support and help desk perfectly. It helped. But if I was going to take that for cybersecurity, it wouldn't help me what I need to know now. Because cybersecurity is so vast in different other areas. Knowing how to build a computer and how to create a network, you're going to learn that being in cybersecurity, and all the stuff that you're going to study, it's going to far surpass A+, right? And again, if you want to work at Best Buy, or you want to work on a help desk, or site service, A+. If not, you want to get in security, start with Security Plus.
All right, we did have the question, and then we got to get back to our content. We only got 10 minutes left. One Up DJ said Network Plus to learn some basics. I got to tell you guys a little bit of an embarrassing story here. So I was going through, and Network Plus was going to be my first certification getting into cybersecurity. Network Plus was it. It's going to learn the basics. I'm going to get my CCNA. I'm going that route. I'll go Cisco. It's going to be fantastic. Well, I took the Net Plus, and I failed it miserably.
Oh, wow.
I was anxious going in. I studied so hard. I ground that thing out, and I learned a ton, and I failed it. And I never went back and got it. But what I did do was I transitioned from Network Plus. I learned a lot, and I believe there's a ton you can learn from studying for that exam. And I took the Security Plus, and I had learned enough studying for the Net Plus. And then I transitioned and learned a little more about security, and I passed that Security Plus, and that experience helped leap me forward into the industry. So we just got a 9-minute warning. Brandon, we got to jump forward through some content. Do you mind if I jump through?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go ahead. So static electricity, real quick, a few of the levels and the impacts it can have. Static charge volts. If you're starting low, it doesn't take much static to blast out a circuit or a transistor, right? They're sensitive. Next up, you can scramble a monitor display with enough static. You can also have disk drive data lost. And we're not talking about solid state drive, but actual disk drives. Magnetic disk drives. You can shut down an entire system with 2,000 volts. You can have a printer jam. I didn't even know. I don't know why that. Whatever. You can jam a printer with static. I think that's kind of cool. And then you can have permanent chip damage at 17,000 volts.
Right.
Interesting stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, I anyone that's done the A+, anyone's done desktop support, you've seen a printer short out. I mean, you've seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
It really does. Well, let's keep rocking. We're into water issues, Brandon. So water issues, leaking, flooding for your business, for your home, you're going to want to address those. It can impact human life, right? So it's also comes back to safety policy and procedures. Plumbing leaks are not an everyday occurrence, but when they happen, they can create major damage, right? Water leak on the top floor of your building, whether it's somebody's bathtub or somebody's toilet in the office building, right? It could cause serious damage. Brandon?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it as you know, like any pipe or anything bursts, right? And you don't know, and it's leaking through the walls, it's going through the cables, it's going down to the basement. Maybe a lot of people have, their server rooms are in the basement, water's starting to flood up. You look at shorting out and things that you don't know, and all of a sudden, boom, like the lights go out. I've been in buildings and all that when has been floods, and you see it. It's not a good scenario. Right. Yeah. So these are all things you have to, again, go back to the disaster recovery. You all have to plan for it, because if it ever does happen, you have to have processes in place that if the water leaks, the pipes break, what do we do?
Yeah, absolutely. And electricity and water don't mix well, right?
No.
And when it comes to the CISSP exam, it's all about human life first. So water leaks and electricity can kill people. It's a serious risk of electrocution for your personnel. So you got to be careful. Also be familiar with where your shutoff valves are. Do you know where your shutoff valve is for your building, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I do too, right? Typically you have one at the curb, you have one in your house. Same with your office building, right? So know where that is. So if there is a water issue, you can run and get it there. Now, a few of the questions you want to be able to ask yourself is the facility located on a hill or in a valley? Makes a big difference.
Right. For sure.
Next?
Yeah. Is there sufficient drainage? Right. Is your drainage blocked? When's the last time you tested it? Right.
Dude, I wish I took pictures of the latest project. PVC pipe that was from my gutters out the house had a massive root growing through it. I had to dig the whole thing up and replace it. Completely clogged. It'd been years my gutters have been overflowing and I never addressed it. What about your office building? What about your house, right? Also, is there a history of flooding or accumulation of standing water, right? Are you getting those pools of water and are they leaning towards your building? If so, what's on the other side of that wall that could be impacted?
Right. And then is the server room in the basement or on the first floor? Or is it, higher up in the levels? And where is that close to the water heater, pipes, where in proximity? Yeah,
spot on. Now, next section real quick, and this is a section that also can't be overlooked. We have water. Well, guess what? We got fire. Fire prevention, detection, suppression. It can't be overlooked. and we are sitting at a 5-minute warning. So we're going to try to crunch through some of this for you guys.
Well, Joel, you know what? Let's do
Yeah.
this because we're gonna be back on Thursday. We got one or two more questions left before we kind of finish. Yeah, let's close it out now. Let's kind of answer this question, and then we'll jump back into fire suppression on Thursday. So, guys, make sure you put this in your calendar. Thursday, 7:30. We're gonna start fire suppression and gonna go through that. So, one of the questions that we had left off was first time here. What study material would you recommend for CISSP, and do you recommend jumping directly into the ICS 2 material, any other material to start with?
We didn't, right? We created a study group. We got Vivek, we had Sean Delane, we had a number of folks over on LinkedIn Live, and we've been studying for 3 months.
Right.
With that content alone, I never used the ICS squared content. I used the CISSP study guidebook. I used the CISSP study app, and we grabbed this book from Safari Books, and we've been using the content to train the group for the last 3.5 months, and I just passed the exam on Monday. So what would I recommend? Well, if I were you, I'd jump on that YouTube channel that's being posted there. I'd subscribe to it, and I would go back and I'd skip through the introductions and the countdowns and start watching our content. We've been doing this. This is our 35th episode. But all the content that we've learned, that we've studied, we've delivered and recorded on YouTube for you guys so you could start. When you have an hour, watch a YouTube video and get up to speed, and you'll be prepped. I'm living proof of that, and Brandon's next.
Yeah, I'm next. So last question for the night. Hey, guys, random question. How would I know if cybersecurity is right for me? So what do you think, Joel? How would you answer that?
I think if you are a driven individual who is, man, that's a tough question. There's so many, like, what's your background? What do you like? But I believe if you have enough determination, cybersecurity can be right for you. Let's talk background. We were talking background before this, Brandon.
Right.
I used to be in banking. I was a bank manager at Wells Fargo. Did I know cybersecurity was right for me? No, I had no idea. But they offered to pay for my finance degree, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I started paying for my own cybersecurity degree. I got that, and I transitioned over to cyber. What about you, Brandon? When was kind of your switch?
So my switch, in 2003, 2004, I actually started to open up to cybersecurity because at that time I was working for the Ontario government, and they started having security courses, right? Stuff that you need to know, right? Be aware of, and things that get compromised, and understand about security. So I started my journey back then, but I kind of dabbled, right? I went back and forth. But I think it was 2016 when I finally said, that's it. I'm in. I'm all in. Take off the shoes, jump right in, both feet in. And I went in and I've loved it ever since. Now, the one question I have for someone that's trying to jump into the industry, I would recommend grabbing a book, an overview of cybersecurity, and I'd recommend reading it. And if there's one chapter, one area that stands out, you're like, oh my God, I love this. Now think about doing that day in and day out. Can you do that? Wake up and doing that every morning? If not, like me, when it came to coding, I was like, I can't code. I'm not going to do that. To sit there and I need to talk to people. I need to relate to people. I need to connect and teach. So I knew my path when it came to cybersecurity. You're going to figure that out as you go. What are you thinking, Joel?
So you're getting asked for a book link because you said grab that book. What I would recommend is, guys, find a cybersecurity professional and just shadow them for a day. See what they do. And if you think you can do it, then pursue that field. That's what I was always told as my mentors. If you're thinking about a career change, go find somebody who does it already, sit with them for a day and see if that's what you want to do. And I would recommend it. I work out of my basement now and I absolutely love it. I used to have to go into the office every day, right? And work with clients. And I didn't mind that. Now I'm on Zoom calls and it's different. It's different. It's still, I love what Sean said. He said, Sean D said, driven, check. Motivated, check. Enjoys a dynamic environment, check. Enjoys stress, check. And enjoys continuing education, right? I mean, enjoys mentoring others, guys. It's such, but you have a community. There's a community here that's going to be here for you, who's going to go through those struggles, who's going to go through that journey and celebrate. As you can see, congratulations, the small successes we get to celebrate together. So
exactly. So the book I recommend, just to let you go, as I was looking up, as Joel is saying, the CompTIA Study Security Plus Study Guide. whatever edition, most recent edition, grab that. You can even get like an ebook version. They're not that expensive. Read that cover to cover. That's going to give you a kind of a base of cybersecurity. And then at least you're going to go hacking, penetration testing, scripting, Internet of Things, policies and procedures. You're at least you're going to go, I like that. And then now, like Joel said, and I totally agree with them, they'll now go grab someone and go, what do you do day in and day out? Like, what do you like about your job? What's the challenges? What keeps you up at night? And then you're going to be able to understand that.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining Cutting into Cybersecurity. This was our 35th episode, our first one on the Cyber Insecurity stream. We will be live streaming CISSP content for the next few months, Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're so glad you joined us, and we hope you'll join us again. We are a minute over, so we're going to go ahead and cut out now. But guys, thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again on a future stream. Have a wonderful night. Brandon, closing
Good
words.
night, guys. And yeah, and we'll look forward. Make sure I want to thank Fraser for moderating this and helping us out. Neil for setting up this cyber insecurity platform and helping the industry evolve. And guys, bring your questions on Thursday. We're here to help you out.
See you guys. Have a great night.